Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back for your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Hedera and Hbar. So with that being said, I hope that you were all having a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are out there in the world. So recently, we just started to see Hedera making some very, very big moves. Now, I know, right? Hedera has been making moves pretty much every single day for the last couple months, and it's been something that I've been putting a spotlight on the channel, considering the fact that I do think that Hbar is going to be a very dominant name in this space this cycle. Everyone's still focused on the price action, but they are failing to realize that the real alt season hasn't even started officially yet. Remember, alts go crazy after the Bitcoin halving. The Bitcoin halving is nearing, and that is when everyone really kind of changes to look at all altcoins, because once alt season really happens, altcoins really outperform Bitcoin in a very large way. In my opinion, I do think that Hbar is going to be a very, very big player. But we have the first official announcement of the community DAO. We have, as we continue to help grow the Hedera network, we're happy to announce our intent to fund a community DAO. This stems from a belief that the ecosystem will benefit from a diverse and multi-pronged growth strategy, and we're excited to support the community throughout. And here we have down here, to date, our priorities have been filling in infrastructural gaps in crypto economy, consumer engagement, sustainability, and also climate markets. Composable building blocks are now established to enable businesses and startups to meet needs of retail, enterprise, and also institutions. As the ecosystem has grown, our strategy in these three strategies have become more focused. There are now projects and ideas that fall outside of our funding strategy. This gap demonstrates that the ecosystem is now ready for a more diverse and multifaceted growth strategy. The community DAO is the first of several evolutionary steps in our growth strategy to ensure that we continue to drive awareness, access, and commerce within the Hbar economy. It is only natural that the community's needs and desires will expand as the ecosystem matures. As a participant in the ecosystem, we're looking forward to brainstorming together with you what the future of our ecosystem looks like. In the coming weeks, we'll facilitate a series of open discussion forums to collectively brainstorm and find a collaborative path forward. So this is actually very, very exciting, considering the fact that we're now going to start to see more and more projects launching on Hedera, becoming a big focus point of Hedera as well for funding, for support. All of this is a big deal when we look at what's already in the ecosystem around the Hbar Foundation and even on Hedera. There has been so much growth in just the last couple weeks and months. I've been putting a spotlight on it. DeFi is definitely a big focus of mine when it comes to Hedera. DeFi has been growing drastically already on Hedera, which, if you guys are focused on DeFi initiatives, guess what? You're probably excited for the next couple posts that I'm going to be going over. But initially, I want to talk about this one before we really get into DeFi. So this is another DAO. So introducing Hashio DAO, an open source user-friendly interface for creating and managing decentralized autonomous organizations on the Hedera network, enabling communities to form, govern, and operate DAOs efficiently using Hashgraph. This is also a big deal. There's so much going on here, right? Like, when we think about Hedera back in 2021 to now, it is night and day. I'm actually very excited about what happens with Hedera this year, because, again, alt season 2021 versus this alt season, it's looking like Hedera has really become a massive giant. The ecosystem continues to grow in such a rapid way that, to me, it really proves how much work has been put in behind Hedera in just the last couple of years. But here we have Hashio DAO offers DAO creators user-friendly access to features such as customizable governance tokens, multi-sig options, and treasury management, enabling communities to easily adopt decentralized governance models suited to their specific needs. And this is all leveraging the Hedera network. What this reads to me is that between this and even the community DAO, we're going to start to see a lot more adoption of Hedera through builders, communities, you name it. This will bring in more users, bring in more demand, bring in more volume, value, you name it. Very exciting stuff. These are just two announcements that we saw in just the last 2 days. Over here, we have, in our continued efforts to support Hedera bridging and interoperability solutions, we've provided a 4th grant to Hashport Network. Now, everyone knows about Hashport at this point. If you actually go over to their website, you can see all of the tokens that are already supported on here. You could also see the networks. You have Ethereum, Optimism, Kronos, BNB, Polygon, Phantom, Hedera, Moonbeam, Base, Arbitrum, Avalanche, and even Aurora. These are all of the big players within this ecosystem already, and this is that interoperability solution on Hedera. So far, Hashport has become a dominant name in the Hedera space. They're one that we've been following for a while. Anyone can utilize this to actually bridge any token to any network specifically, but this is crucial. And I love to see Hashport being supported through a grant, because this is definitely a key part of the ecosystem, and it helps the next stage, right, of DeFi. So over here, we have DeFi 2.0. So we have, as part of our DeFi 2.0 strategy, we've already started seeing leading asset managers like Aberdeen, the UK's largest active wealth manager, begin the tokenization of its assets on Hedera. Down here, through Arcix Exchange, the UK's the FCA, regulated digital asset exchange, Aberdeen created a tokenized representation of its interest in the Aberdeen Standard Liquidity Fund, Sterling Fund, Aberdeen's flagship multi-billion money market fund. By tokenizing on Hedera, Aberdeen became the first major UK asset manager to issue a tokenized security. As the UK Treasury continues exploring fund tokenization, we look forward to them publishing a framework for tokenized fund and welcoming Web3 adoption throughout the nations. Now, beyond this, right, 2.0, what are they going to do with DeFi 2.0? Well, over here, we get a little bit of a glimpse into that. So for existing retail participants, DeFi 2.0 on Hedera means more liquidity, new HTS economies, and greater interoperability, enabling new capital flows to enter into the ecosystem. And this is where this Hashport grant really kind of comes into play. Interoperability is a big deal, and we're starting to see the stepping stones really kind of being taken by Hedera to support DeFi 2.0 on Hedera, which is only going to continue to grow the ecosystem and expand on TVL on the network, which is another big statistic that I keep telling everyone focus on, because that is a big deal even when it comes to Ethereum, for example. But we have to kickstart this progression. Liquidity mechanisms such as Ichi Foundation are helping boost liquidity to decentralized exchanges as new projects throughout the ecosystem come to market with their tokens. Again, more projects on Hedera need liquidity. The best way for them to tap into liquidity is through DeFi initiatives. I've said this in the past, even when it comes to the XRP ledger, actually, with the AMM. It opens the door for liquidity to be tapped in through any participant on the network, any builder on the network, because liquidity is so vital for a lot of these projects, and it's very hard to get without DeFi initiatives that bring in more users to tap into these new tokens, utilize these decentralized exchanges, for an example, to trade, buy, and sell, whatever the case may be, right? But here we have, retail participants can partake in single-sided staking, meaning that they can provide one half of the token pair and receive yield for doing so, rather than providing two tokens in equal balance. Again, this is basically similar to the AMM, but this is all supporting the DeFi initiatives on Hedera and helping to boost liquidity through these DEXs. For interoperability, we recently community-wide collaboration around Wallet Connect as well has further enhanced the wallet UX across Hedera, establishing a standard for all wallets and reducing barriers/silos to new market participants that existed before the standard was implemented. Furthering interoperability, we are also looking forward to welcoming new non-native interoperability solutions over the year alongside Hedera's existing native bridging solution, which is Hashport. As new DeFi protocols on Hedera come onto the market, particularly around lending and borrowing, this interoperability and focus on deeper liquidity and a greater UX will enable new opportunities for outside capital to benefit from the efficiencies on the Hedera ecosystem. Now, with that in mind, DeFi right now has been skyrocketing on Hedera for a little bit of time. Currently speaking, it has been ranging sideways. There hasn't been a big spike yet, but I do think that we're starting to kind of build sideways, waiting for the next impulsive move to the upside around DeFi initiatives. I do think that this will happen once we start to see the retail crowd coming back in. Remember, Hedera is extremely efficient versus Ethereum or any other network within the space when it comes to DeFi initiatives. When we look at Hbar, though, there's been over 1 billion. Currently speaking, right now there's like 1.4 almost billion Hbar in terms of TVL USD. about roughly 140 million TVL. But we had a significant amount just recently, over like 200 million. When we go and look at DeFi itself, this is a big thing that I've been kind of focused on when it comes to DeFi summer. Right now, we're at about roughly $177 billion. If we have a DeFi summer-like move this summer, things can get very interesting very fast around crypto. I do think that we're kind of at this point back here in June of 2021, where we're just kind of ranging sideways a little bit, and we're waiting for this big move to the upside. Again, last bull run, we hit about roughly 250, almost $260 billion in terms of TVL. This time around, I do think that we're going to be targeting $500 billion to possibly even $1 trillion in TVL, which would be very significant for all of the big players. But Hedera stands at the forefront of this and could very well become a very big player in terms of DeFi initiatives if, and I say if, we get enough demand for it. Because demand versus the speculation of, oh, hey, Hedera is extremely efficient, maybe it will, garner a ton of demand and focus. It's two different stories, right? But so far, it seems as though the Hbar Foundation with Hedera have been fully focused on DeFi initiatives and really kind of pushing the bounds around DeFi to make sure that this ecosystem thrives greatly, which is something that I've been watching for a little bit of time. Also, remember, the institutions already tapped in for Hedera. This also provides a lot of confidence around other DeFi initiatives, because institutions are also on the DeFi wave. They want to ride this wave as well. They're not trying to miss out on DeFi because they also see how big DeFi is. This is where we start to see DeFi initiatives being taken around institutional DeFi use cases, solutions, things like that. We already know that Ripple has been focused on this with even the XRP ledger. They know that institutional DeFi is going to be a big deal. And so far, Hedera already has leading financial institutions a part of the GC, running nodes, governing the network, and exploring or even developing use cases. For example, Shinhan Bank and SB Group have leveraged the network for stablecoin pilots, which is a big deal. And we can even see the breakdown here in terms of those stablecoin pilots. But this is just one of many possible use cases that these institutions can run. There's also already, going back to tokenization, right? You already have some of these major names like Aberdeen fully focused on tokenization on Hedera because of the efficiencies. But there is going to be a lot more focus put on institution adoption and also use of these networks over the next couple of weeks and even months ahead, and even years technically. But I'm looking at the most efficient networks, the most efficient technology in this space for a lot of these use cases, specifically even DeFi, because this DeFi pie is only worth $177 billion today. We know that this is going to grow substantially over the course of the next weeks, months ahead. And if we really look at DeFi further on in the future, talking more so about years to come, DeFi will hit $1 trillion plus. It will hit multiple $1 trillion, especially as more and more tokenization initiatives go live and really kind of be adopted heavily by the retail side of things. But once we really start to see a lot of these networks kind of get phased out because of their inefficiencies, the efficient ones are going to be the ones that rise heavily. This is why I really look at Hedera and what they've been doing, because for the last 3 years since the last bull run, a lot of these networks, they really haven't done much. There wasn't really a lot of improvement. There wasn't really a lot of expansion. There wasn't a lot of, there was a lot of noise, but there was no substance behind that noise. Hedera, if you go over to the Hbar Foundation, this is what I was talking about in the beginning of this video, where I'm like, every single day, it's a new announcement. This is something that I've been fully focused on, is community engagement, building, and the substance behind the hype. I do think that Hedera might need a little bit more marketing, possibly, but they have been absolutely killing the game. I mean, for the entire month of April, which we're coming up on, what, the 12th? Think about how much noise Hedera has made in just 12 days in the month of April alone. This is just incredible to see when you are looking at Hedera going back to 2021 versus now. this is why I do think that as we start to see more and more of these engagements around the community, around really kind of pushing DeFi, we look at the dominant names today in terms of the chains, right? When we look at Ethereum, Ethereum is always going to be the number one for a little bit of time, considering the fact that they have over $116 billion in TVL. But I do think that Hedera is going to rise above a lot of these names on this list. Right now, again, DeFi initiatives, there's only about 9 versus, for an example, Ethereum that has over 1,000. You have Solana over 100. The community engagement and the community focus from Hedera and the Hbar Foundation is something that I think is needed to really kind of bring on more and more of these DeFi names. But outside of DeFi, you also have institutional focus. You have a lot of these projects actually moving from, Polygon and even Ethereum and other chains. Solana has been one that has been really kind of impacted by the negative network effects, meaning the network going down, being congested, things like that. It really puts a spotlight on the next generation of technology and networks in the space, and Hedera is one of those leading names. So as we really look at what's happening here, there's major improvements happening. There's focus put on the community. There's a lot of focus put on the ecosystem as a whole, and I do think that going into the later months of this year, everyone is going to know the Hedera name simply because of the moves being made right now. They are truly pushing and pushing and pushing, update after update after update. And that goes unnoticed right now. But as we get into the bull run, everyone will notice that, because all of this is the building blocks behind price action. We're not seeing the price action right now, but when alt season really hits this market, I do think that Hbar is going to wake up in a very large way because it has all of this behind it. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.